Just explain again the significance of what we're seeing. Of course, Pamantla having various conversations about the significance of today, but what exactly are we seeing and how important are these songs which, of course, are being sang on their way to the crown?
They are very important. They've got different meanings, like this one that they are singing. Dabezita konyane ya makosa wazu konyane ganda. So they are pledging loyalty to the king Misuzu. So they have different meanings. They'll be singing different songs. Some they'll be pledging their support to the current king. Some will be sort of entertaining songs. Some will be singing about unity, and all those kinds of messages we'll hear from these songs. But to go back to your other question, this is a very important event because this, I believe, will be the last major event before the President of the Republic of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, hand over the certificate to the king Misuzu. So it is significant in that way. But also, remember the other time when I was talking about the old days of the Zulu kingdom, the currency at that time was the blood. But in the modern day, the currency in politics is the numbers. If you've got numbers, then even in politics, chances are that you will ascend to the political office. So it is important for King Misuzulu to show that he's got numbers. That is why in the past few weeks, I think 2 weeks ago, the new leadership of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, immediately after the election, the provincial election, ANC election, they went to King Misuzu because they know that the currency in the modern day politics is the numbers. So this is a show of force in a way, because you see all traditional leaders will be there pledging loyalty to the King Misuzulu, and you see a number of scholars from University of Zululand, Ongoye, so some from University of UKZN, cultural expert, historian, they all seem to be agreeing with one voice that King Misuzulu is the one who supposed to be the king of AmaZulu. But of course we are aware that you've got two contenders now. Right. Initially we thought that it was a prince, it was one prince, but now suddenly we know that it's not only Princess Magate, it's also Prince Buzabaz, as we saw in the past two or 3 days ago when he was introduced to the media. So yeah, this ceremony is very important. It's a show of force, as we can see the warriors there chanting slogans and singing hymns or amahubo, pledging loyalty to AmaZulu king. So it is important for King Misuzulu to show the force.
Yeah, we can see definitely with the force that they're pledging, both loyalty and protection, that they will protect the king, they will defend their king. But Mabutu, on that note, I want to go back to the points you're making about the other contenders, Prince Makate and Prince Buzabazi. I mean, for the fact that you took us back in history and you said the currency then was blood, and we know that this was mostly, conflict amongst brothers for the throne. Could there be legitimacy in Prince Makate and Prince Buzabazi's arguments that they are the rightful heirs to the throne? Should we be taking what they're saying with just a bit of, an ear to listening to what their point is? Could they perhaps even have a point in saying that they are rightful heirs to the throne?
From what we heard in the press briefing when Prince Mbonisi and others, two princes of AmaZulu royal house, Prince Buzabazi, they argued that he was close to the late King Zwelithini Kapeguzulu, so therefore he's the right one. They also argue that he loved the family, but I didn't hear the part that touches on traditional issues and stuff like that. And then on the other hand, you've got those who support Prince Smagat. They argue that because he's the first son of the late king, therefore he's supposed to be the one who take over after him. So those are their argument. But on the other hand, you've got most scholars that have had talking about this issue, scholars from University of KwaZulu-Natal, and other scholars from University of Zululand. We saw some of them talking today. They seem to be excited. Cultural experts and historians, they argue that the fact that King Misuzulu is the son of a daughter of a king of Eswatini, and that on its own give him an upper hand that therefore he's a son of a great wife. So they argue that it doesn't mean that even if your mother is a first wife, it doesn't mean that you will be the next. But if your mother is from the royal house, therefore you are the right one. So that's the argument that most scholars argue, that actually King Misuzulu is the right one. But also you saw the other ceremony of Ungena Esbaeni, the one that was performed by Princess Magate. You could see the numbers if you were following social media. Some of the reporters from KZN, you could see that there were not much numbers, but you could see this one now. There's lack of support. People from all parts of the province of KwaZulu-Natal. We are told that there will also be some kings from other parts of the continent. King of the Ngoni people in Zambia, in the eastern province of Zambia. There will also be another king from Malawi, King Mbelwa of the 5th. So you can see that there is that what we're talking about, that the currency of numbers in the modern day politics is very important.
But also, I mean, even in the beginning of what we see now is conflict between the sons of King Zwelithini, particularly even around the time of the will was being read that King Misuzulu should ascend to the throne. Misuzulu had come out saying in various press briefings that he wants to see the family unite. He said this to even his aunt, to Princess Thembi, that I love you, I want to see the family unite. And I suppose my question is then, where does this ceremony leave out these other functions? Should we expect them to attend? Should we expect them that with time they will surrender and say, okay, Misuzulu is the king? Where exactly does it leave the broader family in terms of unity?
A very interesting question, Tumelo. It's remains to be seen what will happen, but one politician said the other day that there are no permanent friends and there are no permanent enemies in politics. So perhaps maybe at some point in time we may see members of the royal house uniting and declaring their loyalty to the current king, King Misuzulu. But the time will tell. We do not know whether indeed that will happen, or they will continue saying that no, he is not the right one, and continue supporting the other two, Prince Smagat as well, Prince Buzabazi. Time will tell.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Mabutu Ngcobo joining me in studio, my colleague, as we further, of course, witness a historical moment in history, but also taking note of the other, events that are taking place outside of this main event. Mabutu singing, chanting, pledging loyalty and defense for King Misuzulu Zwelithini, who, of course, is expected to enter the crown. This is Newslink. We'll continue with our coverage of what's happening in Kwakhangela Mankengane Royal Palace in KwaNongoma in KwaZulu-Natal when we come back.